Very good morning, cadets. We are in the last chapter of class 10th history, that is nationalism in India. This chapter is very important. Understanding of nationalism in India is very important because you can expect a lot of questions from this chapter even in your UPSC or any other competitive examination which you appear after your schoolings. So what we are going to study in this chapter, we are going to study about the rise of national movement in India, how the national movement in India responsible for achieving the freedom to the country, and agencies involved in attaining freedom, and the leadership of great Mahatma Gandhi in achieving freedom to this great country. We are going to study about Khilafat movement, we are going to study about Quit India movement, we are going to study about non-cooperation movement, several other various important events which are related to the nationalism in India. It's a big chapter, the volume wise or the points wise, so please make note of each and every important topics which is underlined during the course of class. We already completed chapter Nationalism in Europe, the rise of nationalism in Europe. It clearly says that what is the meaning of nationalism. Nation means common identity is called as nation. Common language, common culture, common race, common religion. So such commonalities lead to the feeling of oneness. So the feeling of oneness definitely responsible for the growth of the concept of nationalism, which we studied in detail in the chapter 1, that is nationalism in Europe. We studied about unification of Germany, Italy, French Revolution, and so many aspects. So let us move to the topic. Nationalism in India. As you've seen, the modern nationalism in Europe came to be associated with the formation of nation states. So what is nation states is nothing but what today we say India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, and United States of America, England, they are all called as nation states. It also meant to change the people's understanding who they were and what defined their identity and sense of belongingness. Please write down this also. Common identity. Take for example, we have a common identity, like we have national flag, national anthem, we have national animal, and we also celebrate certain things common, that is our festivals, Diwali, Dashara, many other festivals. So we have a lot of commonalities. So these commonalities or the common identities definitely brings the sense of belongingness. New symbols, icons, songs, ideas. So how, take for example, when we see a national flag flying very high, we feel very proud. National flag is a material, but the feelings associated with the national flag is very important. Like that, songs and all those things are very important in bringing the spirit among us. In most of the countries, making of this new national identity was a long process. How does consciousness emerged in India? Now let us see how India, the national consciousness or sense of belongingness emerged. Is it a sudden origin, or it is a systematic or a long drawn conflict? That is what we are going to study. Okay, so please write down the points. In India, as in Vietnam and many other colonies, the growth of modern nationalism is initially connected to anti-colonial movement. So in India, why we all joined together, not with a great idea of bringing freedom to the country, but we were fed up with the rule by the British. So initially, like Vietnam, in India also, the concept of nationalism started as anti-colonial movement or movement against the colonial powers. Who are the colonial powers in India? They are the British. So in India, why we call Tipu Sultan as patriot? Because he fought against the British. Like that, many other who fought against the British, they were called as patriots because of anti-colonial movements. People began to discovering their unity in the process of their struggle with the colonialism. So, like in Germany, like in France, the people of France fought against their own king, but it is not happened the same way in India. It is in India. It is our struggle against colonialism is mainly responsible for the rise of nationalism. The sense of being oppressed under colonialism provided a shared bond that tied many different groups together. But each class and the group felt that effect of colonialism differently. Now, what do you mean by each class and group? Now, you see, in India, we had different class in the sense of rich and poor, workers, laborers, industrial class. Uh, so everyone, the concept of nationalism was not same for all. Concept of nationalism was different for different people. That is what we are going to study about Swaraj in plantation, Swaraj Dandi March. Take for example Swaraj in plantation. Take for example a common plantation worker. For him, what is Swaraj? What is Swaraj is nothing but getting his salary and free from his planters. Whereas what is Swaraj for Tilak, Swaraj for Tilak is nothing but rule by themselves. That means our own rule, not the British rule. So everyone's concept of nationalism was different. That's what we say. Their experience was varied, and their notion of freedom was not same. So notion of freedom, very important. Please, what do you mean? Notion of freedom was not same, because for few, getting their salary or getting their due was considered as freedom. For people like Subhash Chandra Bose, fighting against the British and getting freedom was considered as his part of freedom. For Mahatma Gandhi, fighting against British in a non-violent way, that is the way of in which getting method of freedom. So everyone had their own different concept of freedom as well as concept of getting freedom. Under the Congress, Mahatma Gandhi tried to forgive these groups together within one movement, but the unity did not emerge without conflict. So what Mahatma Gandhi has done, nothing but he joined all these groups and tried to bring unity among the various groups, but it was not so easy because there were a lot of difference among the ideologies. As a result, it led to the various conflicts that we are going to study later in this chapter. Hope you are writing the important points. In earlier textbooks, you have read about the growth of nationalism in India up to the first decade of 20th century. In this chapter, we will pick up the story from 1920s, okay, and non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement. So we are going to study about non-cooperation movement and we are going to study about civil disobedience movement. We will explore how the Congress sought to develop the national movement, how different social groups participated in social movements, and how nationalism captured the imagination of people. So what we are going to study in this chapter is nothing but we are going to study about non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, and events after 1920s. What we studied in class 8th and 9th, we studied in class 8th the revolt of 1857, the causes for revolt of 1857, reasons for failure of revolt of 1857 and all those things. And in same class you studied about the formation of Indian National Congress by A.O. Hume. But in this chapter we are going to study events which after the split of Indian National Congress, that is, and reunion of Indian National Congress, and the entry of Mahatma Gandhi into the freedom movement. If you remember, I explained in class 9th and 8th that Indian freedom movement divided into three era. One is moderate, second is radicals or extremists, the third one is Gandhian era. Means from 1920 onwards, the Indian national movement was under the total guidance and control of Mahatma Gandhi. That's why that period is called as Gandhian era. So in this chapter we are going to study about what happened after 1920s. This is an image of 1919. The mass procession in the streets became a common feature during the national movement. So national movement, what's the difference between a movement and a mass movement? And a large number of people gather and fight for justice, that is called as a mass movement. Less number of people, a common movement. Though, what is speciality of Mahatma Gandhi? He converted national movements into mass movement. That's a speciality. That's the reason why Mahatma Gandhi is called as mass leader, because he had a capacity to bring several people under single fold and make them fight for this great country's freedom. So what we are going to study, I made very clear that we are going to study the incidents or the events which happened after 1920s. So here what we have to go important, that is First World War, Khilafat movement and non-cooperation movement. Three major events are there. First World War 1914 to 1918, First World War. End of First World War resulted in several international events as well as led to the several changes in the scenario of the world. We are also going to study about Khilafat movement. Okay, how Khilafat movement is associated with India, and we are going to study about launching of non-cooperation movement by Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, please make a note of all these topics. In the after 1990s, the national movement spreading to the new areas, incorporating new social groups, and the new methods of struggle. How do we understand these development and implications? First of all, the war created a new economic and political situation that led to the huge increase in defense expenditure, which was financed by war loan and increasing the tax. So impact of war. The World War I created a huge economic and political situation. What is political situation is nothing but the loss of Balkan province is the major responsible, where the Ottoman Empire lost its hold on the Balkan provinces. What is economic impact? The countries, they were forced to purchase weapons and sell a lot of money in the purchase of defense expenditure. So the defense expenditure shoot up because of the war. Now the countries which were financed by the banks and other important for the, as in the form of loan, they started increase the tax, because increasing the tax is the only solution so that the country can get the money or revenue from the people. Custom duties were raised and the income tax was introduced. So introduction of income tax increased the custom duties. Increasing the tax is in why it was done, because it was done to meet the expenditure which was occurred due to the World War I. Through the war years, the Prices increased, doubling from 1913 to 1918, leading to the extreme hardship of common people. So, who suffered because of increase in the taxation? The people who suffered because of increased taxation was common people. Villages were called upon to supply soldiers, and forced recruitment in the rural areas caused widespread anger. Now, very important, try to understand the terminology called forced recruitment. What is called forced recruitment? There was a large requirement of soldiers to fight in the battlefield. That's why forceful recruitment started. That is called forced recruitment, and the forced recruitment definitely led to what? Widespread anger. Okay, it led to widespread anger. People are not happy because of that. Then in 1918 and 1919 and 1920 and 21, crops failed in many parts of India, resulting acute shortage of food grains. So already the people were suffering because of problem. Now the latest problem which they faced was because of the acute shortage of food grains, also the common man suffered. This was accompanied by an epidemic, that is disease. According to the census of 1921, 12 to 13 million people perished, means they were killed as a result of famine and epidemic. Now imagine a situation, people are already suffering due to lack of, because see this 1920-21, same way 2019 and 21, we suffered the worst coronavirus problem of 100 years. The same kind of problem was there in 1920-21, means the plague and other viral diseases responsible for death of 12 to 13 million population. People hoped that their hardship would end after the war and life will be better, but it did not happen. People felt that once the war is over, their life will improve, but it is not happen. At this stage, new leaders appeared and suggested new modes of struggle. Now, why all these things are explained to you? Because it is explained that it is understood that any national movement or any struggle won't appear as it is. It appears because of hunger and hardship. There is a topic called hunger and hardship which we studied in Rise of European Nationalism. The same thing happened in India also. Forced recruitment, a process by which the colonial states forced the people to join army. So, the meaning of the word forced recruitment. Today we have recruitment, that is not forced, because recruitment means those who are interested to join any forces, they can join, but with their own interest. Those days it was forced recruitment. Okay, let us move to the major topic, the concept idea of Satyagraha. Mahatma Gandhi returned to India in 1915, as you know. He had come from South Africa, and after successfully leading movement in South Africa, Mahatma Gandhi fought against the racist regimes in South Africa in a method of non-cooperation, in a method of non-violent way, which is called Satyagraha. Satyagraha, now you see, the idea of Satyagraha emphasizes the power on the truth, Satya, and need for the search for truth. So Satyagraha means nothing but search for the truth. That is the meaning of word Satyagraha. It suggested that if the cause was true, then the struggle against was injustice, then physical force is not necessary to fight the oppressor. So please understand this. What Mahatma Gandhi says that if you are fighting against injustice and if your fight is true, then there is no need of any kind of physical force. So no need of physical force, because you are fighting against injustice and you are fighting in a very truthful manner. That is why he said there is no need of any kind of violence method. Without seeking vengeance or being an aggressive, Satyagrahi could win the battle through non-violence. So why Mahatma Gandhi emphasized on non-violence? Because Gandhiji felt that if you're fighting against injustice and your fight is true, then definitely there is no need or the no requirement of any kind of violence. This could be done by appealing the conscience of the oppressor. People, including oppressors, had to persuade it to see the truth. So even the oppressor means someone who is ruling in a very oppressive manner. For example, in this case, British. So what Gandhiji feel that even we can make or persuade or make them to understand that see the truth and understand what you are doing is wrong, instead of being forced to accept the truth by using violence. By this struggle, the truth was bound to ultimately triumph. So the final victory is always belongs to the truth. That is what called Satyameva Jayati. Only the triumph or the final victory is only for the truth. Mahatma Gandhi believed at this dharma of non-violence. So please understand the 3-mark question. Why Mahatma Gandhi felt that non-violence is the best method to fight against the British. So why Gandhiji felt that non-violence is the best method to fight against the British? Because if we are fighting against the injustice, then definitely there is no need of any kind of violence. Workers of South Africa marched. These are the paintings related to Gandhiji's efforts in South Africa. After arriving in India, Mahatma Gandhi successfully organized Satyagraha movement in various places. He travelled in 1916. He travelled to Champaran, Bihar, to inspire the peasants to struggle against the oppressive plantation. Then in 1917, he organized Satyagraha to support the peasants in Kheda movement. So Kheda is in Gujarat. In Kheda, the mill workers, they went on a strike. So Mahatma Gandhi supported this strike. Or the movement of is supported the cotton growers in Kheda, that is in Gujarat. So affected by the crop failure and plague, the peasants in Kheda could not pay the revenue. So why there was a Kheda movement? This is the reason why the farmers of Kheda, they could not pay the tax or the revenue because of plague, and plague is a disease, okay, epidemic disease, and they were demanding revenue collection to be relaxed. So the people of the farmers of Kheda, they were demanding relief from paying of revenue. That is what, if you watched Lagan movie, Lagan is nothing but tax collected during the British period. That is what called Lagan. So what was the demand of people of Kheda? Was nothing but exemption from paying revenue because they were unable to pay. In 1918, Gandhiji went to Ahmedabad to organize Satyagraha movement again amongst the cotton mill workers. So before the beginning of non-cooperation movement, in several events or several movements, Gandhiji took very, very active participation. So this is how Gandhiji made his presence felt in India, because in 1915 he returned from Africa to India. So there was a long gap. That's why Gandhiji wanted to make the people to feel that his leadership. That's the reason why Gandhiji participated in Champaran movement, Kheda movement, and Ahmedabad mill workers, uh, all these satyagraha. So this is how Gandhiji started his slowly his concentration towards the Indian national movement. Mahatma Gandhi on Satyagraha. It is said a passive resistance, that is, it is a weapon of the weak, but the power which the subject article can be used only by the strong. The power is not passive resistance, instead, it calls for intense activity. The movement in South Africa was not passive but active. Satyagraha is not a physical force. A Satyagrahi does not inflict pain on adversary, he does not seek his destruction, and in the use of Satyagraha, he is no ill will whatever. Satyagraha is a pure soul force. Truth is very substance of soul. That's why this force is called Satyagraha. The soul is informed with knowledge in its burns to the flame of love, non-violence and supreme dharma. In certain that India cannot rival Britain or Europe in the force of arms. The British worship war god and they can all them become as they are becoming bearers of the arms. The hundreds millions in India can never carry arms. They have made a religion of non-violence their own. So you can see the writing of Mahatma Gandhi about the meaning of Satyagraha and how he clearly denied that Indians cannot take weapons or the arms against the British because that is not our religion. Indians are meant for the non-violent way. This is how Gandhiji supported the Satyagraha or profounded Satyagraha instead of violence. I will continue in the next class the left out topic. Take care. Wish you a wonderful day. Thank you.